Hello and welcome back to Football Daily, where today we're bringing you 10 of the most questionable wages from around the world. Let's get into it. 10. Bernard. We start in the Premier League with Everton's Bernard. The 28-year-old was signed on a free from Shakhtar Donetsk in 2018, with then Toffee's boss Marco Silva ignoring concerns regarding the Brazilian's height and physicality. Silva believed the 5'5" winger's technical ability would see him thrive in England, and Bernard put pen to paper on a 4-year $120k a week deal at Goodison Park. 3 years on, and the former Atletico Mineiro man remains one of the highest paid players in the squad, with James Rodriguez, Andre Gomez and Yerry Mina believed to be on a larger wage under Rafa Benitez. In this time, he has made 73 appearances in the English top flight, with just 5 goals and 5 assists in around 3,900 minutes of league action. In fact, Bernard, who earned 14 caps for his country between 2012 and 2014, appeared more times as a sub than as a starter under Carlo Ancelotti, picking up more yellow cards than goal involvements in 2021. Bernard has just a year left on his contract heading into this campaign, and it's hard to see any club offering him the same money Everton did back in 2018. 9. David De Gea. Staying in the northwest of England as we head to Manchester United and their number one goalkeeper David De Gea. At least you'd hope that the Spaniard is their first choice between the sticks, as he is currently earning $375k every week. Not only is this the highest wage at Old Trafford, earning some 80k more than Paul Pogba, but by the time the season ended, he was the highest paid player in the country. Whilst the 30-year-old has been one of the Red Devils' most consistent performers since his arrival, his most recent contract extension actually came off the back of his worst season with the club. Signed in September 2019, De Gea's 18-19 campaign saw him claim just 7 clean sheets and concede 54 goals, 11 more than any other year with United. It's difficult to see where the former Atletico Madrid stopper's future lies. With his employers also spending 120k every week on Dean Henderson, the expectation is that the Englishman will eventually assume the starting spot. The new contract was probably deserved 2 years ago, but you have to wonder if club chiefs may be paid a little over the odds. 8. Krzysztof Piątek. In 2018, Krzysztof Piątek was a virtual unknown upon signing for Genoa. The Polish international would then become the first player since Andriy Shevchenko in 1999 to score 5 goals in his first 4 Serie A matches, and by January had netted 19 times in 21 matches, securing himself a €35 million move to AC Milan. However, the now 26-year-old failed to impress in 12 months at the San Siro, and Hertha Berlin took him to the Bundesliga for €27 million, where he'd sign a 5-year deal worth 100k a week. Presumably, the old lady were banking on Piątek rediscovering the form that earned him that initial move to Serie A and carried him through his first 6 months in a top league. 18 months on though, and it's not gone to plan. Piątek has scored just 11 goals during his time in the German capital, and despite featuring in 32 matches last campaign, only completed the full 90 minutes 3 times, to date costing Hertha some 700k in salary for every goal scored. They have to hope they can salvage something from the poll, even if it is just a diminished transfer fee. 7. Miralem Pjanic. You may have heard us harp on about this transfer enough over the past 12 months, but unfortunately for Miralem Pjanic, it means he once again features in one of these lists. In reality, there are a few Barcelona players that we could have mentioned, including the often injured Ousmane Dembele and Samuel Umtiti, both being on around 250k a week, and Antoine Griezmann earning almost triple that, but the Pjanic deal just continues to baffle us. Following the kind of swap deal Barcelona and Juventus negotiated, with midfielder Arthur heading to Italy, the Bosnian international was handed a 4-year contract with a salary of 300k a week. This made him the 5th highest player at the new camp heading into last campaign. Pjanic featured for just 1,295 minutes across all competitions, contributing 0 goals and assists. This summer, the club are even trying to shift the 31-year-old either on a free or failing that on loan, in order to get some of his astronomical wages off the books. In their current financial state, Barcelona would be best to not make a deal like this again. 6. Adnan Januzaj. A name that has slipped off the radar of Premier League fans since his permanent departure from Manchester United, Adnan Januzaj has been a Real Sociedad player since 2017. 22 years old at the time of his €8.5 million switch to San Sebastian, there was certainly a lot of hype around the Belgian international, despite underwhelming during loan spells with both Borussia Dortmund and Sunderland. So La Real probably expected to pay slightly over the odds for Januzaj, and handed him a 5-year contract earning 90k a week, the largest wage in the squad. However, in 4 years in Spain, the 26-year-old has made just 58 starts in La Liga, and over the last 2 years has appeared more regularly as a sub. With no notable injuries to speak of, his total minutes on the pitch has decreased each season, and until last summer, Januzaj remained the highest earner. It was only the arrival of veteran David Silva that knocked him off top spot. With just 1 year left on Januzaj's deal, you have to imagine a pay cut is coming if Real Sociedad want him to stick around. 5. Kepa. We all know the story behind Kepa's move to Chelsea. The Blues have been left vulnerable by Thibaut Courtois' somewhat sudden departure to Real Madrid, which left veterans Willy Caballero and Rob Green as the only two senior goalkeepers in Maurizio Sarri's squad. Chelsea decided Kepa was the best option available on short notice, so paid Athletic Bilbao his £72 million release clause, with the expectation the 23-year-old would be number one at Stamford Bridge for the foreseeable future. The Spaniard signed on the dotted line for 7 years, earning £150k a week, putting him on a par with compatriot Cesc Fabregas and behind only Eden Hazard as one of the club's top earners. But 3 years later, and it looks like a lot of money down the drain, as Kepa lost his starting spot to Edouard Mendy over the last season. And to add insult to injury, the Senegalese shot stopper's wage is just 50k, putting him amongst the lowest earners in Chelsea's first team. Kepa is still due another £31 million over the next 4 years if he sees out his contract. Surely Roman Abramovich will want to cut his losses sooner rather than later. 4. Aaron Ramsey. It's hardly breaking news, but Aaron Ramsey has been earning £400k a week with Juventus since leaving Arsenal 2 years ago, moving on a free following talks with a number of clubs from across the continent. But as is the case with most names in this list, he's hardly proven value for money. With only Cristiano Ronaldo earning more than him, the 30-year-old has made just 46 appearances for the Bianconeri since 2019, and only 24 of those have been starts. It's not helped that Ramsey has been part of a stacked midfield, with Bentancur, Rabiot, McKennie and Arthur all racking up more league minutes. In fact, the Welshman has often been shunted out to the left flank in order to accommodate him as a starter. And the problem is his wages seem to be preventing a move away from the Allianz Stadium. Ramsey has been long linked with a return to the Premier League, but his current wage would see him as the highest earner in England, not sustainable for any club supposedly interested in securing his signature. Despite his income, it could be a couple of long years in Turin for Aaron Ramsey. 3. Fernando Llorente. The person you may have forgotten was still playing, Fernando Llorente is still plying his trade in Serie A. However, after just 3 starts and little over 500 minutes of action in 18 months for Napoli, the 36-year-old was allowed to leave, heading north to sign for Udinese. Brought in to help solve their goal-scoring woes, with the side having netted just 20 times at the halfway point of last campaign, the Spaniard put pen to paper on an 80k a week deal until the end of 2021-22. That is double anybody else earns at the club, with Gerard Deulofeu next on the list at 40k, slightly ahead of Rodrigo de Paul on 35. And it's possible that Udinese have come to regret the decision. In 14 appearances and 715 minutes, Llorente averaged just 1.4 shots per 90, with just 1 goal to show for it. This came as his employers finished the season as the second lowest goal scorers in Serie A, with only relegated Benevento netting less than their 42 strikes. There's no reason to believe next season will be any better for the veteran striker. 2. Caglar Soyuncu. Contrary to the rest of this list, Caglar Soyuncu is an example of a player that is not being paid enough. Signed back in 2018, the Turkish international was actually on a very reasonable 45k a week, considering he entered the fold at Leicester City as a backup centre-back. Roll on 3 years though, and he is one of the most important members in Brendan Rodgers' squad. Despite an injury-affected 2021 season for the 25-year-old, since Harry Maguire's departure from the King Power in 2019, Soyuncu has made 57 appearances in the league, averaging almost 3 defensive actions and 3 aerial duels per 90. He is still on his first contract with the Foxes, which meant that last season Wes Morgan was on a higher salary, despite featuring for just 15 league minutes all campaign. The likes of Mark Albrighton and Hamza Chowdhury also earned some 50% more just as rotation options. Contract negotiations with Soyuncu have reportedly been going on for months, but as yet nothing has been agreed. With just 2 years left on his deal, it needs to be sorted quickly or the defender will get paid what he deserves elsewhere. 1. Eden Hazard. It may be slightly harsh to put Eden Hazard at number 1, but as the highest earner at one of the world's biggest clubs, he is massively underimpressed. Chelsea reluctantly sold him to Real Madrid for an initial €100 million in 2019, and the Belgian icon agreed to terms that would see him be paid €470k a week, equivalent to €25 million a year. 2 years into his 5-year deal, and the 30-year-old has spent more time on the sidelines than he has on the pitch, missing 59 of a possible 103 games due to a variety of injuries, starting just 30% of fixtures that Los Blancos have played since his arrival. In fact, having made 43 total appearances, Hazard has cost his club almost €1.2 million in salary alone for each time he has stepped on the pitch. And he didn't help matters following his actions with his former teammates at the end of Real Madrid's Champions League defeat to Chelsea, as it seems like some are set on chasing the 111-capped international out of the Spanish capital. Whilst it would certainly help out Real Madrid's financial situation if he was, he doesn't look like he's going anywhere. Let's hope Carlo Ancelotti can get a lot more out of Eden Hazard this coming campaign. So that was our list of the 10 dumbest wages in football, but did we miss out any players? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, do give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more great content. Bye for now.